Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world, and welcome to another edition of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. It's been a somewhat hectic day here in the Sept of the Green with the attack of the Bloodbanes, the fight against the slithering worm-like creatures, and of course the massive Bane that came and gave quite a few people tinnitus. At the end of the day, um, brought some strife down upon the heads of all that were there, but not disregarding duty and noticing that a certain cub wasn't involved, and that is possibly maybe for the best, depending on their level of training and, well, let's just come out and say it, overall comfort with the idea of fighting monsters. Um, Cammy, after sort of settling down a bit, having a drink or two, is set off to find the cub by the name of Fatima and is currently walking around the various areas where cubs are known to congregate in hopes of finding the young Theurge. So we start our scene with Cammy walking around set.
Cammy will find Fatima in like the open meadow area with she's there and she seems to be enjoying I guess the noonday sun, catching in some rays and she saw the blood veins and she frankly says she wanted nothing to do with it. So she avoided the conflict and decided to wrap her mind around what she's going to do, if anything. And you can just see her on a blanket, shoes beside her, just watching the sunset.
Well, um, Cammy makes her way sort of around the meadow area until she can approach from the front, not wanting to come up behind a cub that she's seen jump through an RV window. Seems like the sort of the common sense way to go about it. So as she makes her way up, she'll take a cigarette, light it. She takes a drag off of it, and as she comes up over the hill, she kind of lets the breath out, and a big puff of smoke is the sort of biggest prelude to her coming over the crest of the hill.
Seeing her come over the crest of the hill, and she'll look to her left or right to see if she's approaching someone else. When it becomes evident she's coming towards her, she will show throat, say, "Hello, Ryan."
Amy just kind of shakes her hand negligently at the gesture. You don't need to do that to me unless you're around the dead parents or any of the alphas. As far as I'm concerned, I'm about 5 minutes older than you as far as being Cleeth over Cub.
She nods. Can I help you?
Yeah, wanted to see how you were doing. Last time I saw you, you were still trying to take it all in, and, well, you put enough water onto a sponge, eventually the water just kind of pours over top of it. So I kind of figured that's where you were at um, that day.
Never heard it put so distinctly, but yeah, it's been getting better. But some days are easier than others.
She'll gesture to a nearby rock that's close enough to the blanket that they can converse comfortably, and she'll kind of gesture. Mind if I sit down?
Mm-hmm. What up?
And she'll sit down. She'll reach into the spider satchel and She pulls out two Twinkies and tosses one to Fatima and opens her own.
Thank you. You see her dig into the Twinkie. I like these. They're good, wholesome, very American. She kind of scoffs at it.
Well, there was a time when I was very, very distraught over the idea that the Twinkie would be gone, and there was what, four, 4 months or so that they weren't being made.
I remember that.
It was a very hard time for me personally.
A lot of people took that kind of hard. Twinkies has been an American staple for quite some time.
Can you imagine what would happen if like McDonald's went out of business or Starbucks?
Starbucks is far more hilarious, but
It's like the world
McDonald's is a national threat to the fabric of society.
anarchy in the streets.
I don't think people would know what to do with themselves. I think people would call out from work. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal without my 4 o'clock hamburger.
You know, you are not wrong.
She chuckles at the thought. So did you just come around for pleasantries?
I like to think that I'm never too business. So anytime I come a calling, as long as I'm not coming at you with a seriously, the fuck did you do look on my face, consider it a social, maybe business call.
You know,
But I recently came together with Desmond, a who recently became a Cleith.
I'm excited for him. He's an adult now. I think that's what the adults say.
Well, he did decide to start up a pack, and getting to know him a little bit, I fell in line with him. We've decided to be an urban-based pack, kind of operating within the limits of the city, getting to know it, being the eyes and ears for the Sept.
I am a city girl at heart, but there's just something that's comforting about the openness of it all as she just kind of looks around her. I enjoy it.
Well, that was one of the nice things about Toronto. You only had to drive 15 minutes in any direction, and you'd find yourself out in the brave wilderness.
So, if I can be bold, what tribe are you?
I'm a member of Cockroach's Brood. I'm a glasswalker.
I haven't heard of them yet. What exactly are they?
Well, the whole history of us kind of goes along the lines of Gaia chose us to integrate with human society. We we got up close to them, and we have watched them ever since. And we've grown and adapted with them, changed several times, actually. From the pre-technological era to the industrial revolution, and finally into the current, into the common age of technology. Always embraced that sort of thing. So it comes as no surprise that we're on the cutting edge of what can you call it? Modern Gaianism.
That's the way to think about it, I guess.
We
So you're
yeah,
like tech savvy and things.
yeah, we're good with people as far as understanding them and reading them, and some of us blend in with them pretty well when we can. Our R runes are still, well, people still avoid our R runes, but the majority of the tribe is able to integrate into societies pretty well. Our whole thing is we're good with people, and we're really good with computers and cars and guns and all sorts of modern technology. We've always embraced it. And she'll kind of look Fatima over. You have a cell phone on you?
Um, you will see her cell phone. It's really basic. It has the case where you can see the Metro card, credit cards, well, mostly deactivated and, you know, random stuff, random assortment. The ones that sort of double for a wallet too.
Okay, yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
All right, let me just bring up the gift list here. Make sure that I get this right. There we go. I was like, for a minute, I was ready to say, or not, that's cool as well, but
Mm,
come on. There we go. Tribal gifts. Last workers. And she spends a point of willpower. So she spends the point of willpower, and if you want, you can roll your perception primal urge.
okay.
I think they're still using dice roller or the werewolf dice roller, so we will use dice
Extra
roller one.
dash. Uh-huh.
I think Katie is still in the thing with Tom and Torna.
Mm.
There you go. Extra dice roller one. So yeah, you can definitely tell that something magical or otherworldly just happened.
Okay.
But as Cammy pulls out her smartphone, and it's one of those like iPhone pluses like size, like one of the larger
Uh-huh.
phones that really kind of goes between or kind of sits between the tablet and phone
Mm.
stage actually. Um, Fatima will notice that her address book opens up like she had pressed the button, and then someone enters in, new entry, and then Cammy puts her name in there, and then types in her number, and then hits save.
What? She just looks at us. That's different.
And she just kind of smiles as she puts her phone back into her spider satchel, and then just smiles over at Fatima.
That's kind of nifty. Cool.
Really helps when we're dealing with like security cameras and you know electronic locks and things of that nature.
I like the idea of that. That's cool. I don't know much about computers. I'm sorry, I don't share the same enthusiasm. I know enough to maybe use. Uh, oh, I had MySpace back when it was popular. She shrugs, but
Jeez Louise. I'm really getting into ancient technology and whatnot. You
it
logged
ain't.
onto MySpace at all recently?
Nope. She shakes her head. I thought it was
Totally.
weird that I had a friend named Tom, so I never went on it again.
Well, I got involved and went back there not too long ago, and it was very surreal to go back to that site.
Is
Very
it still a lawless land?
um, I think it's more about music. It's more of a means to an end, I guess. Or I'm sorry, more of a means for music.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, interesting, interesting thing the net these days.
So I'll be honest, I don't like the idea of it back, but it just seems weird. Mostly because I don't like to rely on people too much. It's less of a it's more of a me thing than a you thing.
Not too far off from you in that respect, but there's just a certain level of truth that comes to the fact that on your own you're vulnerable. There's certain benefits from being in a pack, I guess. You always have someone to look over your shoulder, watch your back. You get in good with a totem, and they give you certain spiritual boons that make you better at doing one thing or another.
I could see that.
Lone wolves, they can do all right, I guess. But some more traditional guru will definitely look at you with a certain level of,
Mistrust.
you could call it that, I guess, or just a general befuddlement, I guess. To them, why would a creature that's biologically biologically set to have a pack instinct would go up against it?
I guess it's because a lot of the clubs seem to buy into it wholeheartedly that what they're being told, and truth be told, I'm sort of believing it too, but what I am, that is. And I guess it's the eagerness to be a part that's a little unsettling to me.
Well, again, you're not wrong. I can certainly understand that sentiment. one of the things you kind of worry about when you first get into this is, are you um, are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
She nods at that statement. Exactly.
And after a while, you begin to think, man, are we involved in a cult or not?
I use those exact words actually.
I know I was there.
Oh right, you did look a little familiar. Yeah.
Honestly, I guess from a very human perspective, we are kind of a cult. It comes right down to it, you know.
She
We
nods.
can't really help, but no, we can't really escape that. We can't really escape that just because of the way that we're. How can I? How can I put it? We'll never be able to totally get away from that, just from the simple fact that we're an army or something of a religious organization where we're meant to, you know, fight and die for Gaia. And we
Fighting
have
and
those.
dying for Gaia seems to be. That was one of the first things I found out very early. But I have to be honest, it's still apprehension. But I suppose it's slowly starting to make sense.
Yeah. There's just certain oddities and proclivities you can't help being a Garu. And let's face it, you grew up as as a normal human being. I did too. It just seems counterintuitive to everything we experienced up until everything changed.
She nods. I think a lot of people sort of wish for something different because they're unhappy with the lives that they're living. They want an excuse to get away from it or to start over again instead of being content with what they're given and trying to make that work. We only have like one life to live, and I finally got the chance to. Now, I won't say I achieved the American dream, but I was close to making my, I suppose, a selfishness of it happen.
I don't think
Having
it's
money, an apartment,
I
maybe
don't
a
think
place
it's
for my
selfish.
grandkids too. I wasn't too sure.
It's not selfish to want things for yourself. I suppose I'm in a bit of a better boat because I my change happened when I was young. I was just a teenager. You're already an adult. You'd already established your life and had already gotten extremely comfortable in it. The real world was already at your fingertips and you knew where your foundations lie, you know?
She knows. I wish that maybe if I was younger and I was still in that searching phase for my identity, that I'd gravitate to this more. It would be easier for me to get or want to get, but I can't help that I'm feeling that I'm leaving something behind. That bothers me a little bit.
I mean, you are, in some sense, you know? If you ever do get the chance to go home, many would advise against it, but if you ever do get that chance, see your parents, they're never going to look at you the same again.
What do you mean?
If they're not kinfolk, if they're not immune to the curse, delirium, they're always going to be uneasy around you just because of the rage that Luna gave us. Even if you have the lowest amount of it, and with theurges, we have next to the lowest amount of it, naturally. They're always going to sense the predator underneath the skin. If you were a full moon, they'd find your presence almost unbearable.
She nods at that. I hadn't considered that.
And that's sort of the rotten deal that comes along with being one of us. There's some that change as young as 10 years old. There's some that change as old as 30. Imagine having two, almost, what, 15 years at the very least, understanding who and what you are and all that just being shattered. At the same time, could you imagine never having gotten to experience the things that you did? You
She
imagine
ponders about it. There's a look of question on her face. Well, she's considering it. You have a point. That is a point.
I always kind of wondered what it would have been like if I hadn't changed until I was an adult, if I had made it all the way through high school and some college. I wonder what it would have been like to have been a child soldier if I had changed so incredibly young that I couldn't even call myself a teenager. I even finished with grade school. Sometimes I consider myself lucky, and sometimes I think of myself as very deprived.
That is a sentiment I suppose we both can share.
On the plus side, it does get easier as you go on. And you had the advantage of coming into this with a certain level of maturity.
That hasn't been a word attributed to me in quite some time since I've been here, but okay.
You're not the worst I've seen. She just kind of chuckles and smirks. I knew people that just couldn't deal and spent multiple years just getting their footing. You're handling it a lot better, I think, than a lot of people would. Hell, you're handling it better than I did.
Um, not, I wouldn't say that, but there's a lot that's happened that you don't know. But I think that there's nothing else to do. Maybe I should try learning a bit.
And that's the maturity. I wasn't like that. I was hard headed and I refused to accept what had happened. It took me almost 6 months before I accepted it. So I think you are doing pretty good for yourself.
I guess. Well, thank you.
What did you want to do? Just out of curiosity.
I wanted to be on the board of directors for a hospital. The very best doctor, surgeon, neurosurgeon. I finally decided.
In some sense, you can still realize that dream, just maybe in
Uh,
a different form.
I don't think you can actually online a medical degree online. I don't think that's a thing you can do.
I mean, you're not wrong, but think about the different forms that you can take with it. You're theurge. By trade, you are, in many cases, considered to be a doctor among your own people. We get an understanding and abilities from Gaia that let us heal. So, in that regard, you could still become a doctor of sorts. You have enough prestige, you could become someone who's seen as a healer beyond the skill of any mundane doctor. If that's the way you want to take it, you know?
I never really thought of it that way. Maybe.
I always wanted to be a programmer.
But you're like the best programmer now.
Yeah, I
Well,
am.
close
I'm way
enough.
better than it than my dad ever was, but I have an inside track on it. I can deal with the spirits of various technologies.
That's cool. I mean, I guess it feels good to see someone that's not too much older than me that sort of made it.
It's hard work, and it's not going to be easy for you coming up.
I don't, I don't like easy. Easy makes you lazy.
You sound motivated.
Well, if I'm going to do anything, I won't have assets. But it's just more so me getting my head around it and deciding if this is something I really want.
Someone once said to me that anything that is anything that is doable, you can own. So, if you really think about it, you have certain advantages, but your determination probably gives you the ability to own the world as you see it. Own your own world.
She smiles at that. What finally won you over?
I had someone who looked out for me. Someone who had a lot of patience. More patience than I could ever hope to have, even if I lived to be 120. And I remember that he went out on a mission and he came back gravely wounded. He'd been cut up by an enemy's silver weapon, something known as a clave. Even our enemies have them. And those weapons are extremely dangerous to us. We can't shrug off those wounds like we can with bullets and knives and other things of that nature. They cut through us, most of us anyway. The only thing that protects us a lot of the times is armor, whether it's magical or mundane. And he was very close to death. And I watched our ranking theurge heal him. Brought him back from the brink, and I realized that in our particular auspice, we have the best ability to protect what's ours, what we care about, more so than any other auspice. Arun is a force of nature, but a blunt instrument or a deadly weapon doesn't protect people. It's a tool to help get you there. Galliards can offer words of succor and ease the mind, but it doesn't do anything to protect people. Philodoxes right the wrongs and protect us from ourselves, but it doesn't mean anything if a person is torn apart mentally or physically. Ragabashes help remind us about many things, and to some degree that they do help protect us from ourselves as well. But we mend wounds. We talk to spirits. We get their blessing. Today, during that attack with the bloodbanes that came towards us, I managed to help 10 points with Chiminage that enabled a healing rain to fall over us. The other 4 auspices couldn't have hoped to do that. While we may not be the most adept warriors, or we may not have the best and brightest voices, or even the sharpest minds or witful tact, a duty of protection for the nation, for our friends, for our pack mates, for our tribe mates, that falls to us. And when I realized that not only did I have that responsibility, but I had that power, it made me feel strong, I guess. It empowered me in a way.
I
And,
never really thought about it that way.
well, I know how den parents operate. They have to look over multiple cubs at any given time of multiple different auspices. And if they're not already a theurge or an Arun or whatever auspice that their cubs are, they don't get to really know the intricacies of it the way we do. So, best thing you can do is look to other theurges for guidance. Hell, one runs this set on the L. She's an alpha. She's a legend, a hero of our people. Older than dirt, too. She's well over 100. She may live for another 50 years or more. Gaia likes her quite a bit, I think. Isn't about to let her die.
That's cool.
I think we have one of the coolest jobs in the nation.
What do you mean?
Well, we get to know the spirits, and the spirits are extremely powerful. Everything we learn how to do, gifts, talons, fetishes, that's all our realm of expertise. Every gift that you learn in some way was thought about and crafted and perfected by a theurge. Every fetish you see is made just about by almost exclusively theurges. Every talon is usually crafted by a theurge, though other auspices sometimes learn how to do it on their own. She'll like tap her she'll tap the spider satchel and she'll look around to make sure that no one's around, and she'll open it up, and she reaches down into it and pulls up what looks to be the barrel of a very like long right a very long rifle that seems to be Mary Poppinsing its way partway out of the
Mm-hmm.
bag I wear as a fetish. It's called a spider satchel. It's able to hold 3 times what a bag its size normally would. Mine specifically is a favorite of the glasswalkers because we can put electronics and modern tools into it. You can make magazines that never run out of ammo, or you can make earrings that help tell if someone's lying or not. You can make a baseball bat that lights on fire and doesn't burn, except the things that it hits. It's things like that that
She
we
was
learn.
contemplative.
And we regularly get to make things of our own design. I recently was able to build a talon. I made a deal with a net spider. I'm sure you've seen them crawling around the Umbra. They're not
Yeah.
the ones that tend the webs. They're the ones that tend to like the electricity and data streams and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Made a deal with it that if we use this thing, me and everyone with me won't appear on camera. We'll be just a pixelated blur. So if we ever get into a situation where we need to keep our identity secret,
Mhm.
we're able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's far less alarming to a security guard if his cameras don't suddenly all shut down at once.
Smart.
Depending on what tribe you decide to join, you'll learn a number of really interesting ways to make deals with spirits. You get good enough, you'll be able to make fetishes, whether it's something as simple as a bag that holds a lot of stuff, or as grandiose as I don't know, a bow that fires out bolts of sunlight.
She smirks at that.
Hell, if you're feeling really cheeky about it, you could just make a necklace that, when you activate it, it scratches that part of your back that you can never seem to get.
It seems a little, from what I've heard, a little irresponsible, but I could see its purpose.
Sometimes it's hard to concentrate when you've got a nasty itch on your back that you can't reach.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I only take Bubbles ass. She looks at you and smirks.
Yeah, I mean, like, lets out a chuckle. If you want my professional opinion, I think you'll do just fine. Whatever you decide to do.
It feels, um, I'm coming to a decision, but we'll see what happens.
Whatever you decide, just make sure it's whatever makes you comfortable.
Comfort is a very relative word for what we are.
Yeah, but if you were to, join a tribe whose philosophy is completely counterintuitive to everything that you stand for, well, that could be a problem. At least you don't have to worry about having the option of all 13 tribes.
I
You
don't.
don't. I don't think you can be a silver fang. You don't smell like one,
Hmm.
and you have to have a certain purity or genetic heritage to be able to be a silver fang, from what I hear.
Okay.
But the world is pretty open. If you want to be a fighter, the best fighter among all the fighters, get a Fenris is one way you could go. If you want to delve into the deepest secrets that the Umbra and the spirits have to offer, get Tenna. You could go that way. If you want to commune with the dead and be a nomad, Silent Striders are one way you could go. If you were looking for camaraderie and feeling feelings deeper than anyone else, you could join the Fianna. if you're all about peace and mastering your own rage and looking to heal the wounds of the world, both physical and social and mental, Children of Gaia might be for you. You don't care about the world you live in and what your living conditions are like, and you want to be close to the downtrodden and often forgotten. You could be a Bonar. If you like the cold and you have vengeance in your heart, I guess you could be a Wendigo. I don't know how well that would go. It's an option. If you wanted to protect wild places and sort of join in with a entire creed of feminists, you could join the Black Furies. If you're cunning and double talking and you wanted to be able to have the upper hand in just about everything you do, always be one step ahead of everybody else, you could be a Shadow Lord. And if you were into getting as close to humanity as possible and learning how and sort of cultivating your own garden inside places like this, and she'll kind of gesture broadly at the city,
Hmm.
maybe my tribe is the way to go. All kind of comes down to what you feel inside. At the end of the day, this was something that fit for me. My talents and skills and who I was are very well defined by Cockroach. So I became a glasswalker. Never looked back.
It's a lot to consider.
For some, it's an easy choice. You either have a lot of heritage or family that were already part of a tribe and you follow in their footsteps. For me, it just came down to what fit. And I think you and I fall into a very similar category in that regard. We really didn't have a basis coming into this. So at the end of the day, you have to find what's right for you. And don't worry about what anybody else thinks. No matter what tribe you choose, there's always going to be someone in the set that you're in that's always going to end up being disappointed.
Disappointment is the spice of life. Nobody's disappointed you did something wrong.
Well, I've also thought that disappointment is the other person's problem and not mine when it comes down to what I decide to do with my life.
She smiles.
But whatever you choose, and let you know that my alpha is interested in having you along with us.
Seriously.
Yeah. And getting to know you, I think it'd be kind of cool to have you around. Have someone to help me kind of temper Desmond. He's a little high strung, but he is a good warrior, and as a half moon, he does have a certain level of judgment that I can respect. We wouldn't be following someone blindly into battle just for a chance at glory.
Mm. It's something to consider.
It's an open-ended invitation. Even if you don't take it, I'll always be around. You smoke?
No, I'm a doctor. She looks at you with a disturbed look.
Well, luckily for me, ever since I had my first change, it doesn't seem like it's affecting me too much.
I could see that. But yeah. Whole being a medical professional in any capacity, smoking just seems wrong. She laughs.
You're not wrong. I guess I would have a pretty strong opinion if I saw you using Apple products over an Android or a PC. So,
She kind of shrugs like you just said something she didn't quite understand.
and Cammy just kind of gives you that matter of fact look, like, see. If you ever want to get off set for a night, I've got a loft that's only a few blocks from here.
Or it might be nice one day.
It's cold though, I'll warn you, this time of year. I can't get that fucking radiator to work no matter what I do to it.
She smiles. Maybe I don't know. Not too handy, but
You like
see what
Mario
happens.
Kart?
Yeah. Actually, it's only one game I actually remember.
Well, I've still got a Wii up in my apartment, and it works. And even though he wouldn't let anybody know it out front, Craig's enjoyed it. Or, sorry, not Craig, Colin. Out of
Mm-hmm.
character. Bob's character. The werewolf, not the vampire.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe the next time you invite Colin, I'll come along.
I don't think he's going to be coming back, but I'll let your den parents know if it comes down to it, and you can come over for a bit of a what I guess play date.
She smirks and plays.
Whatever you want to call it. But she'll stand up and she'll open up her Twinkie and just take a bite out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Catch you around. Feel free to
Catch
text me if you need anything.
Will do. She just looks at her phone. Little amusement. That was kind of cool. And she'll like shove it back into her sports bag, and she'll continue looking. Well, it's now become comfortably evening. She's enjoying the stars in the sky.
And Cammy will walk off to probably go get coffee and spend some time at a local internet cafe. And I think there is a good point where we can end our scene. So thank you, players, for playing, and thank you, watchers, for watching.